What is up, everybody? Today I want to talk about Alexander Volkov's future in the UFC and his future fights, like his opponents. Um, let's get into it. And before we start, when we do get into it, let's go over his wins, like all of his wins, what his record is, people he's lost to, and people he's beat to. Like people he's beat, and we're gonna look overall how his record stands. Okay, so in 2016, he debuted. He fought Timothy Johnson, beat him via split decision. And then in 2017, he fought Roy Nelson. He beat him via dominant unanimous decision in 2017. And then he KO'd Stefan Struve in the same year. And then in 2018, he picked up another KO win against Fabricio Verdum, or whatever the fuck, how I pronounce his last name. And in the same year as that, in October, he fought Derek Lewis and lost after a dominant couple of rounds. So his first defeat was to Derek Lewis. After that defeat to Derek Lewis, he came back and fought Greg Hardy in 2019, beat Greg Hardy via dominant decision again. Well, not again, but, another dominant decision. After that, he wouldn't return until 2020. So he only had one fight in 2019 and two fights in 2018. So after that fight with Greg Hardy, he wouldn't return until 2020. And then his return, he fought Curtis Blades, in which Curtis Blades dominated him in like the first two rounds with his wrestling. Everybody was talking about this. He dominated Volkov with his wrestling. But at the end of the third round, we saw Curtis Blades severely gas out, and Volkov started putting the punishment on him. He even secured a takedown on Curtis Blades, who's the wrestler. But Volkov ran out of time and lost via unanimous decision. Only through the sixth round. Maybe that would have changed, because Volkov was starting to come back in those later rounds. But it was too late. So he lost to Curtis Blades via decision. After the loss, he would pick up two more KO wins against Walt Harris and Alistair Overeem by hitting Walt with a nice liver kick and bludgeoning Alistair Overeem. After that, he would fight Cyril Gane and have a close striking match with him, but an eye poke by Cyril Gane happened and it stopped the match. But not forever. They would start it up again, and Volkov would lose that via decision in June of 2021. And then after that decision loss to Cyril Gane, he would fight Marcin Tybura the same year and rack up another impressive win. Then in March of 2022, he would fight Tom Aspinall and lose via submission in the first round. The same year in June, he fought then number ranked 8 heavyweight Jairzinho and came back with and had a comeback win over Jairzinho in the first round. So he lost to Tom Aspinall in the first round via submission. And then in the same year, and this was back in March too, when he lost to Tom Aspinall. And then in June he came back and he came back with a round 1 knockout, came back with one of his own. And then now, who should he face next? He's currently ranked 6th at the time. He won against Jairzinho. Everybody above him was booked. Now time has passed, so let's see who's available now. Because when he was fighting Jairzinho, nobody was available. But now he since has fought Jairzinho and the dust settled. So let's see who's available. The champ is injured, so he's out. He did say he was hinting at a return in December. I don't know if that's true or not. And then the ranked 2 guy is Cyril Gane, but as we found out when he fought Tai Tuivasa recently, he did win, but he ended up breaking his hand. So the ranked number 2 guy is out with an injury. He's on the injured list. Now, I wanted to see Cyril Gane and Volkov running back, but obviously that ain't gonna happen because of his hand injury. And the reason why I wanted to see that is because, first of all, it's not like Cyril Gane was fighting for the belt anytime soon, and there was no one available. And Volkov wants to get that GOAT status, and I don't see why he wouldn't want to run it back with Volkov, because that wasn't like he dominated Volkov. It was a close fight. It was a good fight too. So I don't see why they couldn't run that back. But I mean, now I do see why, because Cyril Gane's out with a hand injury. But since Cyril Gane is injured, how about Alexander Volkov versus Tai Tuivasa? Come on, let's make that fight. They're both not doing anything, literally nothing. And Alexander Volkov is just waiting for an opponent, because last time um, he fought Jairzinho. They asked him who he wanted to fight next, and he said that he was just waiting. Um, and Tai Tuivasa, I mean, yeah, he took some damage in the Cyril Gane fight. Those body kicks drained him in the fight, but I mean, shit. By now, I think he should be ready. He didn't really get sustain an injury in the fight. As from what I've heard now, he's fine. I haven't heard an injury report, so I don't see why we can't make that fight. Let's make that fight. Alexander Volkov versus Tai Tuivasa. I think that would be a good fight, because they're both stand-up strikers. Alexander Volkov is a more technical one, but they both have power in their hands. They both have that one power knockout ability. They both have some bludgeoning hands. I mean, Tai Tuivasa certainly proved that when he fought Cyril Gane just recently. And then Alexander Volkov proved his knockout power when he fought Alistair Overeem. He fucking bludgeoned him with those hands, bro. That was insane. And if the fight doesn't happen, so say, because that's the fight that should happen right now. Like, UFC matchmakers, make that fight happen. Volkov, Tai Tuivasa. I don't see why it can happen. That's gonna be a banger. I'd love to see that. But if you don't get Tai Tuivasa and Volkov, I think we should get Volkov versus Curtis Blades. And now I'm going to go back to what I said earlier, because I did touch on these two a little bit earlier. But now let me bring the point back up. Curtis Blades, when they fought, yeah, it was a 5-rounder, and Curtis Blades had dominated him in the beginning of the fight with his wrestling. I mean, when I say dominated, I mean he got my boy Volkov down. But here's the thing, though. It did work, but that severely gassed out Curtis Blades, because at the end of the third round, we could see him breathing really heavy. He was exhausted. And then after that, that's when Volkov started to come back. He started putting the beating on Curtis Blades. He even secured a takedown. So it's not like it was a slaughter fest. It was a close fight. Volkov started to find his number as when the fight started, as the fight progressed into the later rounds. Now, I think if they run it back, I think Volkov gets his number. I mean, he already has it. He found it in the last 2 rounds. It's just he didn't have Volkov's biggest enemy in that fight was time. He was down 3, and yeah, he was down 3, but he was up 2. But that made the bigger difference, because after that he ended up losing. But I think if they have a rematch, I think he got it. That's the fight to make right there. Make those 2 fights, Alexander Volkov versus Tai Tuivasa, or Alexander Volkov versus Curtis Blades rematched. We get a second to that fight. I mean, there's nothing like going like the heavyweight division anyways. The champ's injured. The number 1, the number 2 ranked guy's out. Tom Aspinall is injured. So, and Alexander Volkov is he's ranked 6. And the ranked number 5 guy is Tom Aspinall, which he's out with an injury. When he fought Curtis Blades, he ended up hurting his knee. And there's only two guys available for Volkov, and that is Blades and Tai Tuivasa. And they're ranked 3 and 4. And the two guys above them, Soriano and Francis Ngannou, they're out with an injury. There's no one really left in the heavyweight division. Heavyweight's stale right now. So I don't see why we can't put on those fights. I mean, Alexander Volkov hasn't fought since June. By the time this fight does come about, it's probably going to be like fucking March or February again, probably. I don't, most likely. If the fight does get, if my dreams don't come true and they announce it like next month or tomorrow or some shit. And here's the thing, Volkov, like, people dog on Volkov, and I don't know why. He has like 33 to 35 wins. That's pretty good. You clearly have some good coaches. And that's another thing. When he fought Curtis Blades, yeah, he got dominated. But here's the thing. He fought Curtis Blades before he fought Tom Aspinall. So he got dominated, and then, because, alright, I'm not trying to start any controversy, but I already know this is going to start. But I think Tom Aspinall is the better wrestler than Curtis Blades. Because, I mean, look at it. He beat Tom Aspinall in the first round. And then, I mean, not, what the fuck am I saying? He didn't beat Tom Aspinall in the first round. Tom Aspinall beat Volkov in the first round. It took, shit. Curtis Blades couldn't even get that. And my point to this is, Volkov has some good coaches. There's no way you get beat by someone and you lose in the first round via armbar, and you have good as coaches as Volkov does. There ain't no way you just shrugged it off like, what else next? That's some old shit. No, fuck that. They go back and they work on that. So I already assume that he worked on it, and he's even hinted at he worked on his wrestling, because after he fought Jairzinho, to get back in the winning picture. And that's another thing. He just beat Jairzinho to redeem himself. First round knockout. That's huge. Well, not knockout, but TKO. First round TKO. Pretty much almost the same thing. He beat him in the first round. That's huge. That's a statement. And if he fights Tai Tuivasa, say he goes on fights Tai Tuivasa, if he beats Tai Tuivasa, that should give him a title contender match against Cyril Gane again. So that's what should happen. Is if he beats Tai Tuivasa, he should face Cyril Gane, and whoever wins that, title right there. But to what I was getting back earlier with Curtis Blades, if he fights Curtis Blades, I think he'd be better in the part 2, is because he fought Tom Aspinall, lost first round armbar. There's no way you can just shrug that off, and they go back and they work on it. And they've already worked on it. I guarantee you they've already worked on it. He even hinted when he fought, like I was saying earlier, he fought, after he fought Jairzinho, he hinted that he was working on something. He didn't say what it was, because they were asking him like the regular reporter shit. How do you feel? How was training camp? Do you feel like, all the usual questions and shit? He said he feels good and he's getting better and better. And he said that he's been working on something new. Now, I'm going to assume that's wrestling, because here's the thing. Volkov, I don't think he's working on his striking. He don't need to. Volkov is one of the most technical strikers in the heavyweight division besides Cyril Gane. Those two are up to debate. He's one of the most technical. There is no reason to improve. He doesn't have to improve his striking. He's already proven that his striking is deadly. His wrestling is and his ground game is where he has to work on. And the fact that his two biggest losses came from two wrestlers. So I think after that Tom Aspinall fight, they definitely went back to the working board, especially Volkov's coach. Volkov's coach is probably like, oh man, that was bad. Okay, we need to do something about that. Okay, 33 wins, 35 wins. I know you can. I know we can work on this and get it. Trust me. I think Volkov. I think that's what he's been working on, and his wrestling and his ground game. And if he did, I don't see Curtis Blades beating Volkov. I mean, he barely beat him when it came to striking. And I'm not taking away from Curtis Blades. He did land some good strikes in that fight. But when it came to striking, Volkov had it. But when it came to wrestling, clearly, clear as day, um, Curtis Blades has it. But that's why I think this is my view on what they should do with Volkov. Because Volkov, he's a very unique heavyweight, a 6'7" heavyweight. He has all the things to be all the makings to be a heavyweight champion. I did a post about Volkov saying if I just wanted to see people's opinions on Volkov. Not a lot of people really are a fan of Volkov, which I'm surprised of. They say he's a gatekeeper. Nah, yeah, he's a gatekeeper as of right now. But here's the thing, though. I don't think they realize how close he actually is to actually becoming champion. Like, he just beat Jairzinho, and he's ranked number 6. That's not really far from a title shot. And if UFC, Dana White or any of the matchmakers does actually uh do one of my requests that I'm talking about right now, that could get him a title shot very closer than most of you would think. Cause Tai Tuivasa, if he beat Sergan, dude, that would have been a title challenger right there. If Tai Tuivasa beats Sergan, that's a title fight right there. He's getting a title fight whenever Francis Ngannou came back, and he lost. Now the reason why Cyril Gane ain't getting the title shot, which is obvious, he already fought Francis Ngannou when he lost. Volkov's never fought Francis Ngannou. That's what I'm saying. If Volkov ranked number 6, he can always fight a rank number 4, rank number 3. That's really not that above. That's not too far above the rankings for him. And he does have high possibilities of beating of Tai Tuivasa. Tai Tuivasa, he's a heavy set guy. He doesn't move a lot. And what we found out in his last fight with Cyril Gane is that his main weakness is body shots. And what is Volkov's one of his main one of his main weapons he likes to use is since he's so long, he likes to do that front kick to the gut. That's how he finished Walt Harris, that front kick to the liver. And after Sergan got rocked by Tai Tuivasa, Sergan thought he was playing UFC, and he spammed the shit out of that body kick because he hit it like 3 or 4 times. Hey, they all worked, every single one of them. So I think if Alexander Volkov fought Tai Tuivasa, that should easily go to Volkov. Well, not easily, but I think it'll go to Volkov. I'm not taking away anything from Tai Tuivasa. He has already earned my respect. He's down to get down. Well, so was Volkov. But that's what I think should happen. Let me stop rambling before this turns into like fucking 2 or 3 hours. But that's what I think should happen. Those are the matches to be made right there. Volkov versus Tai Tuivasa, or Volkov versus Curtis Blades Part 2. Make them fight happens. Please. I don't see why it can't happen. UFC matchmakers, people who are watching this, make it happen. Get the word out. This would be a good fight. Heavyweight, there's nothing going in heavyweight right now. Let's make it happen.